Michael Flack and welcome to the video. Today's video is a continuation of the first video where I demonstrated some of the techniques I use to work around common problems in event photography, specifically dealing with people who blink during taking photos. So the image that you can see in front of you is the finalized repaired image, and for those of you who haven't seen the first video, here is a quick recap. This was the original image, which the composition was perfectly great. Unfortunately, the model blinked at the moment the picture was taken. Through the use of adding a secondary picture that I'd taken earlier and scaling it to match the size, we blended it in using a layer mask to complete an effective composite image made up of two separate images, but effectively becoming a more usable image. And now we're going to continue on with the next phase of enhancing the image, and that is about cleanup. Now, when we talk about cleanup, what do we actually mean? Speaking as a photographer, one of our jobs is to capture an image and also to direct the viewer's attention to a specific area, to make that focal point effectively the subject of our image. Now, in this image, I would say that the model's face and their expression is the focal point. This is where I want the viewer's eyes to be drawn to. Now, if there's anything else in the background or on the person that's distracting or competing for attention, that's going to lessen the impact of the picture. Now, what we can do is we can use some of the tools in Photoshop to enhance the picture by removing some of these extraneous distractions. So before we take a look at some of these distractions, we're just going to prepare the image, and we'll do this by selecting both of the layers and merging them together. And we'll do that using a command Control-Shift-E on a PC, and that merges the two layers together. Next, we're going to take a closer look at the image, and I'm just going to give you an example of some of the things that we can see. So, as with most costumes and items of clothing, they're likely to pick up several things, either stray hairs, stains, tears, or wear marks. In the case of this particular costume, you can see that there's been some obvious wear and tear starting to show on the costume. Now we can fix that quite simply, and what we'll do is we're going to use the spot healing brush tool. And this will make a quick job of getting rid of some of these marks. And it will do so by blending in from surrounding areas. It's not a foolproof tool. Depending on what surface you're working with, you may find that you don't get quite the results you expect. Especially with skin, if you're using larger diameter brushes, it will start to cause some issues. But there you go. Straight away, you can see that's slightly cleaner. Now we can see that there's another mark around here. And again, we're just going to do that. Quick mark. And there you go. It's gone. And then looking at the helmet, yeah, you can see just a few faint little wear marks. We'll just take the size of the tool down, so just work on a smallish area. And as you can see, instantly gone. And again, if we just take a look, we can see that the logo on the actual helmet looks like it's had a little bit of damage there. Not sure whether that's intentional or not. Normally with things like costumes, if people intend them to look battle worn, they tend to weather them quite heavily. So it's obvious there are nicks, cuts, and there's sort of a gradation in the paintwork just to show the fact that it isn't actually brand new out of the box. It's literally being used for real, as it adds some more to the realism. And as you see here, it's just a few little spots here and there. What do you think? We could just clean up a little bit. There we go. And there we go. If we zoom out straight away, that's just removed some of the extraneous marks. It's a little less distracting, and it keeps the attention focused on the eye. So the next thing we're going to look at is working on the face. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to click a new layer. And then we're going to zoom in on the face area. And bear in mind that it's only photographers that ever really look at images this close up. This is one of the penalties of owning a high megapixel camera. It will show and highlight lots of detail, sometimes detail that you don't really want to see. But what we're going to do now is use a couple of tools in Photoshop to clean up minor blemishes, smooth the skin a little bit, and give a more pleasing effect. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go for the healing brush tool. This is quite a common tool. We use the spot healing brush. Select a size that's appropriate for the target area, and literally just paint a dot, and instantly the spot's gone. Now that's not a bad tool, but sometimes when you're working on stuff like this, you might find as you zoom out you can see faint traces of where the tool's been. So another tool we can use is the clone stamp tool. The difference with this tool is that it actually samples an area of texture. So it's not just trying to pull the tones in together, but it's trying to match the texture of a nearby area. So this is why when you're sampling, you press the Alt key, click on the area you want to sample, and as you notice as I'm hovering my cursor over the area, you can see how it's actually putting a texture in place. And the trick is not to overdo it, just very small spots. Always good idea to resample close to the area just to make sure that you are blending in tones that are present. As you notice, if you're not careful, you will start to see a few little streak marks forming. So you need to be a little careful using this tool. And just as a sanity check, what we'll do is we'll just zoom out a little bit and just check to see the result. How does that actually look? The thing to bear in mind is you can work too close to things, and sometimes, as you can see, the clone stamp tool will actually put detail in and it will actually duplicate it. And that's usually a telltale that there's been some work done. The trick is to just even things out without going overboard. There we go. So I think that's looking already a lot better. a little smoother in appearance, not overly smooth, which is good. Now that we've completed work on the face, there's only one last distraction that we need to get rid of. And that's this sign up at the top here in the corner, and this vertical line running down the wall. And to do that, what we'll do is we're just going to zoom in a little bit. And we're going to select our clone stamp tool. And then we will select a suitable brush size. And then take a sample by pressing the Alt key and pressing on an area. And sometimes you need to select an area in a different position. And for this area, I'm just going to take that down a touch. Select your point on that side. And as you can see, we start removing that line. Now, when we get close to objects, we may need to select points, different areas, to avoid cloning in pieces of nearby objects. Now you can just see there how I've just started to clip that. So what we'll do there, take the brush size down a touch. And just be mindful of the area we're working in and try and keep the brush size suitable size for the area you're working in. Again, it looks like we just clipped that out, as you can see. Sometimes these brushes have a tendency to bleed over and spill into adjacent areas. So what we'll do, we'll just clean away this. As you can see, if we get close up to here, eventually, we're going to end up cloning a bit of that. So we'll just make the brush size a little bit smaller, sample a new area, just to give ourselves a bit of working room. And then we'll just take that up a little bit more. And take away that line. And zooming out, you can see it's just a little bit left over there. And there you have it. We've now successfully removed a distraction from the background. We've also removed any extraneous distractions on the subject, smoothed out the face a little bit, made it a little more pleasing to look at. And I think overall we've got a nice result. Again, this is just another stage in the process. In the next video, I'm going to talk about dodge and burn and how we can use that to enhance a picture and add more highlights and more shadows and effectively sculpt lighting onto a subject. So it can actually work really well if you're compositing images. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.